and welcome to Blockleaders.io with me, Gillian Gotzel. My guest today is Alejandro Guiterrez. Am I saying that right? I'm not saying that right at all, am I?
Guiterrez. Almost there.
Almost there. You'd think I would know it by now. It's spelled Guiterrez, and Alejandro, of course, has been the first name. So I know you a long time, Alejandro. We haven't spoken much since COVID. But what I'd like to do today in this video is talk a bit about your role in ConsolFreight, what it's been doing with blockchain, and then also how COVID has impacted you with the network you've set up, and then looking at the DeFi which is very interesting development on your side of things. But let's start off with you and ConsolFreight. Tell me a bit about your journey with them and how they came to blockchain.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, thank you very much, Jill, to invite us here. It's always fantastic catching up with you.
Thank you. Great fun, especially if you get your name right.
Yeah. So maybe the third one will be the one. No, but with ConsolFreight, so ConsolFreight is a company that started in 2016, and the main idea behind ConsolFreight was setting up digital products or products that were helping digitization of freight forwarders and companies that were actually involved into the logistics space, right? And why? Because, well, the logistic industry is an industry that has been a lack of progression on the digital side. And with the founders, we actually had either our freight forwarders or we have a strong relationship with freight forwarding. In my case, it's both. My dad is a freight forwarder, has been doing this for the last 30 years. I grew up in a house that every single day was talking about this topic. And yeah, we have multiple companies that are in the sector. So seeing the day-to-day problems that the founders decide to get together and just create these solutions, right? And from there, actually, we're starting seeing what else was out there. And one of the topics that for us was really interesting was always blockchain, right? Because there's that real application of blockchain into well, the supply chain. And when I say supply chain, it's supply chain management, but also can be supply chain finance, right? Because those two are really interconnected. And we are starting seeing, okay, what are these interconnections between actually the financial layers of the supply chain and the physical and the data components, right? Because those are the three layers that the supply chain has. What we realized actually was that usually the data and the financial one are interconnected, and they are really well interconnected, but the physical not always is connected. And a proof of that is, for example, when we're starting seeing on trade finance, we're starting realizing, for example, letters of credit. The letters of credit, we will see, is a process that is used for companies to actually buy or purchase goods internationally. And we saw that actually the relationship between the physical side and the physical the physical side and the financial and the informational one, when there was not even a connection. Banks actually, they don't even care what is put inside the container. That's not for them to analyze, right?
Wow.
Which
That's
is
a bit mad.
Yeah, and is the way way that they have done the business. Yeah. And it's not wrong. It works for them. And so far, well, there hasn't been a proper change for it. So now with blockchain, actually have been multiple companies that are trying to actually digitize this process. You have TradeIX, you have Marco Polo, multiple companies are trying to do it. But what we saw actually is we try not to digitize that process only. We believe that this process actually can be enhanced and can change. It's we know that this process, for example, hasn't been unchanged for the last 200 and something years. So I think it's about time that we use all these tools that we have, especially blockchain, and just actually make a process or put a product together that actually fits better the reality of the 2020, right?
Yeah.
And based on that, we created a product that is called Trade Forward, and Trade Forward was actually a POC that we developed with the guys from EOS Dublin, and the idea was actually, look, let's just shuffle things a little bit. Let's integrate blockchain. Let's integrate IoTs, smart contracts, AI, and let's, instead of actually assessing the parties that are involved into that trade, actually let's assess the whole operation as a whole. Yes, from a holistic point of view, right? And also let's use the cargo, actually the commodity that's being transported, as a collateral, right? Because you have the goods, and you're going to be able actually just to use those goods
as collateral. So not needing to go to the banks for trade finance, is that?
No directly.
Oh, that is disruptive.
Yeah, that's disruptive.
Very disruptive.
Yeah, the banks are still, and the financial institutions are still going to be important because they're still having the capital. But instead of actually doing that assessment of whom is going to be able to afford or not the use of these services, well, let us do that component right, and we are going to be able to get all the information and create those oracles and that information and that data, so we can just say, look, that commodity coming from that origin destination has low risk, which means actually, even though this person doesn't qualify in the traditional terms, they will qualify in ours. Because
so that's clever. So you're taking the emphasis away from the individual wanting to buy and ship on the actual collateral that's going to, so it's low risk assets.
Exactly.
That's smart.
So it's a mix of everything. We're actually checking the transaction, not just individuals, right?
Yeah.
There is a risk in there, right? When you are checking the individuals, like what if the cargo actually what is not what it's meant to be?
Yeah.
There's no provenance usually when you are doing letters of credit, for example. And then also another component that we realize is the fact that there are a lot of people that even if they don't need the liquidity, they will go through the letters of credit because they want an entity that is trustworthy, that is there, that can provide that that confidence, right, in the process.
Yeah.
So if you go to that sense, like 80% of the international trade is actually not done by letters of credit. It's actually done by open accounts. So that opens a huge opportunity, right, for people that are willing to just change a little bit the process, right? And for people that can decrease, right, the barriers of entry for SMEs to start just getting access to trade finance, right? That is a big problem.
So you're solving that then with the introduction of a maker die, and also centrifuge. Explain how that works.
Yeah, so one of the things that we are realizing is, okay, there are these new sources of finance, right?
Yeah.
And we have seen this from the DeFi point of view. So last year, actually, we got in touch with the guys from MakerDAO and Centrifuge. And we created, actually, we conducted a pilot, the three companies together. So what was the pilot? So it was actually to finance an invoice for logistic services. So the idea that we are having right now, and that's a different product that we are putting together, is to provide freight invoicing services in order to provide liquidity, right, to the companies that are in the freight forwarding space and logistics space. Liquidity has been always an issue for these companies, and now in the middle of the pandemic is even worse, right? So with the guys from Centrifuge, after conducting that pilot with Maker that was successful, what we decided to do was like, okay, let's create, actually using the same models, right? That is a typical investment model in which you have a junior and a senior tranche. We started creating some investment pools for people to just invest and then getting money back in 30 or 45 days, depending on the pool, with some returns, right? And at the same time, we are providing that liquidity to the freight forwarders.
This is the first time that MakerDAO has done this, isn't it? It's using an
This,
asset back.
so this one isn't through MakerDAO yet.
Okay.
We are in the process actually to be accepted as one of the first originators for assets, right?
Yeah.
And that at that point is when we're going to be actually kicking into the full DeFi space, right? So now we're kind of testing it. We have done 2 pilots so far, or well, not 2 pilots, there are 2 deployments because already this is the 3rd time that we are doing it. So the first one, we had the chance to get 49 invoices funded. And there were freight forwarders that were participating on it. And it was an amount of $280,000. The second deployment happened actually 2 weeks ago. And we have increased actually the amount is at 334,000 this time. 9 freight forwarders. This time actually we are using as well a platform that we have created specifically to provide this service, right? So it's kind of every single time we're trying to prove that we are.
This is exciting. Tell me the role of EOS Dublin and Europe Chain in it.
Yeah, so EOS Dublin they have been with us on the way from the POC until actually developing this order platform, and they have actually multiple components that they are working with us on. One from the blockchain point of view, helping us develop all our requirements from that side, and also on the technology that is fantastic. They have also previous experience doing similar platforms, and that's something that we value very much. And it's really interesting to see how more and more, for example, we're kind of working with the guys from EOS, but at the same time, this interoperability or potential interoperability between different protocols is getting more, or it's getting closer, and that's fantastic to see as well. I would say we're working with, for example, Maker, that is a company that is on based on Ethereum. However, we can just operate with other protocols, and that's something that is really exciting, right? Having that flexibility.
I think it's interesting too, because in DeFi, sort of, it's hailed as the new way of going forward of finance, but there have been suggestions that it's a bit flaky. It's, there has had criticisms in it. But if you're actually using this to base on an asset-based pool, that's a different approach. It's not just putting your money, on staking your money and trying to get some returns. It's actually an asset that's going to increase in value and repay interest to the investors.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I think it's something that for the purist, they don't believe in the concept, right? Because, well, it's not fully decentralized in a way. However, I think this is the next step, right? Because you want to create massive adoption with DeFi. Well, we need to just actually start just moving into that direction, being able to interact as well with the physical side. And we believe that freight forwarding is an industry that requires this type of services, and also is risk, or the risk can be mitigated easy enough.
As you say, it's an industry that's been there for centuries and has very little update in the technology and the practices, the processes. So finally, just tell me a little bit about, during COVID, you set up the Forward Together Network. What is it, and how can people get involved if they're interested?
Definitely. So as part of being confined and seeing all the issues that the freight forwarders were having, we decided to create a network, a traditional network, right? What a traditional network, because it's a concept that freight forwarders understand, and also it's something that doesn't really require much effort from the starting point of view, right? Especially for freight forwarders that right now are kind of on a really lean mode. They want things that actually can provide benefit, immediate benefit. We saw that freight forwarders actually were having a lot of random requests as consequences of the surge of PPE demand and also essential goods. So they were just randomly having, I'm getting a request from Indonesia, from places that they never actually had traded before. So they say, well, look, that's an opportunity. Let's get with all the infrastructure that we have built previously. Well, let's get freight forwarders together, and let's get this network. In that case, they can expand their operations, right? And they can now get some counterparty in Indonesia, but also in Thailand, in China, they don't have already, LATAM, and so on. So we created the network in March so far. And we have at the moment 23 members in 18 different countries. So basically we're covering every single continent so far. And we have around 20 something companies now in the pipeline. And the reason is because we're doing a proper due diligence. We, at the moment, we're not charging anything. That's not what we are eager to do. It's more a service to the industry. And we're trying to actually get freight forwarders that are real freight forwarders, that have an infrastructure, that have experience behind them. And so we're doing a proper vetting.
Yeah, it's a true peer-to-peer professional network. It's just not a lot of hangers-on. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Because unfortunately, the freight forwarding industry is one of those industries that is not really regulated, except for some countries like United States, where is like a proper regulation that you need. You need to be an MPOCC in order to be properly doing the trade, right? Most of the countries you don't require that, which means I can be a person with no infrastructure whatsoever and just running around, just
put up the sign, I'm a freight forwarder.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. There's a lot of companies that have started like that. However, you need to actually do a proper vetting and validation. And that's what we're doing. And that's probably the reason why it's taking a little bit longer, but we're fine with that, right? We want to just provide quality services.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that we're saying is look, because we have that partnership, this really strong partnership with the guys from ConsolFreight as well. So the members of Forward Together are going to be the first ones that are going to be getting the option to use all the liquidity tools or all these new services that ConsolFreight is using.
Yeah.
So like all the deployments, the previous deployments that we just talked about, all the forwarders were part, or they are part of Forward Together network, right? So the idea would be just to grow the network and being able to create something that is solid, and the freight forwarders can use a niche for them to go and not just see or seek for growth of the company, but also just provide some education, enhancing their operations, and just build something important for the industry, right?
Brilliant. So if people want to find you, Alejandro, what's the best way for them to find you, to talk to you about your ConsolFreight and the Forward Together network? What's the best way?
Forward Together network, you can go to the web page. It's forwardtogethernetwork.io. You can find all the information in there, and also in LinkedIn, the Forward Together network. We are really active in LinkedIn. From ConsolFreight, can be same LinkedIn, ConsolFreight, and also in our page that is consolfreight.com. Same. Brilliant. You can look for me in LinkedIn, Alejandro Guiterrez, and whatever question, more than happy to use.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, for the update, and that is exciting about the DeFi, because I was at a conference last year in Macau, and it was all on DeFi, and oh my God, it's kind of an eye opener. You don't realize it's there. Next minute it jumps up and you go, what is it? And this is like these are real practical examples of use.
Indeed.
Liquidity, assets, the data, the actual product. It's very exciting. Well done.
Thank you very much. No, it's super exciting. I think definitely there's a lot of work that needs to be done just to make sure that everybody has a chance to use this type of products. But the opportunity is just fantastic. And I think at this stage, the sky is the limit.
And it's disruptive.
I love completely.
Disruptive, yes.
I know that.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Jill.
Thank you.